What up, nerds? Bujo Head Jody here. I have been bullet journaling since 2017, and I would like to share my 2021 May weekly spreads with you. So, if you will remember, my monthly spreads were just two-page spreads, very simple, very fast. Part of the reason why is because we're going a little extra for these weekly spreads. And part of that is that I am giving myself 2 full pages per week, and my weeks start on Monday, so this is actually the very end of the week that started in April. I'm giving myself these full 2 pages. I am including this very large brain dump section here, just a notes section. And then we're finishing it out with Saturday and Sunday. Now there is an extra very tall box there. That's another note section. So, but it's for very specific things. We're being very task oriented here. So we're trying something a little new, and I gotta say, I really like it. I think I'm gonna do it for next month as well. So this very long section I have labeled week 01 to 2, so that is the first to the second, and then labeled Saturday and Sunday. The boxes below those labeled with the weekday I have called tasks. So once again, very task oriented. The brain dump is just for notes. I've already used a lot of it, trying to get a little more organized. I noticed I didn't have a lot, like there was things I wanted to write down and I just couldn't, because I hadn't planned a section for it. So this month I planned a section for it. I've been using it a lot, actually. I make t-shirt blankets for my friends and family, so I need to count out how many t-shirts and colors and how many they've sent me, make sure it's some multiple that I can make a square or a rectangle out of. So I've got a lot of little notes about that in there. I'm also planning this month to actually frame everything that I said I've wanted to frame. I've actually ordered all the frames. They will come on Tuesday. And so I wanted to write down all of the prints that I needed to frame, their sizes, and just sort of note which ones I've ordered, and also in what sizes I've ordered. Also just a couple notes about hotel reservations that I have, different stuff like that. So things that are not tasks but are helping me do other tasks are very nice. And then of course in this large section I do have a little bit of room for some boba. So we're gonna throw a couple cups in there. And use these fun colors. Now I always do the pearls after I've drawn the color in, because the dark fine, if you go over the fine liner with the mild liners, it does bleed a little bit. And I can smudge that black, and I can get the black on the markers. So that's definitely, hot tip. You can definitely use, them over as sort of semi-highlighters, but it'll bleed a little bit. It'll run, especially for something like that where we're filling in a dark circle. That's a little pro tip. So this is the first of, I believe, 4 full weeks in May. So this is the first time that we're gonna watch this. Get ready. It's very exciting. I hope it's, very soothing for you. So I'm going to very slowly explain what's going on here. So we've got 7 columns for the 7 days that are split up into 3 sections each. There is also a full column that takes up the 8th space along the left-hand side. So in the top section, those are my daily tasks. If you remember from previous monthly spreads, I generally will put recently I have been putting my daily tasks as a monthly section, so they're all grouped together. You can see them all it's nice to see it laid out like that. But one of the problems was I wasn't always doing everything, and also sometimes it was nice to know I want to do this day. But especially if I'm setting up as a monthly spread, a lot of times I want to pre-fill that in monthly, and sometimes things change, I don't feel good, or suddenly I have to go do something, and so I don't have time to do whatever monthly task. And also there are certain things that I just I want to keep doing that until it's done, but I don't know when I'm going to finish it. So I can't really write that out as a monthly spread. So what I've decided to do is switch that over to the weeklies, the dailies, or whatever you want to call these, the weeklies, so that, and make the rule that I can't really pre-fill in a lot. I can, but only for certain things. It also allows me to put a level of detail in here that I couldn't when it was just a little mini calendar and I just had to X out the day. Certain goals I want to do, or this is a task, but I want to do this type of this task. So that's really nice to have that. I kind of made the rule for myself that most things I wouldn't fill in until the night before. And this is good because this is also a good time for me to do the section on the bottom, which that is where I put my best thing, worst thing I'm looking forward to. My rose, my thorn, and my bud, if you will, which is something I've actually been doing this entire bullet journal for this year, that is a goal that I'm actually going to do that for the whole year. Because I've had previous spreads where I've put it in, but I haven't either I haven't stuck to it. I'll get to a certain point in the month and I end up doing something, and so I just kind of fill in hey, there was a wedding, so yay wedding. Or there'll be some months where I just didn't make that type of spread for myself. So, and it doesn't have to be super, detailed. It was just kind of nice to put something down. And there have been times where I've fallen behind by a week or even 2 this year, but it's definitely something that I went back and I filled in as best as I could. Like, okay, I do remember getting that email, so then that happened that day. So therefore the best thing would have been something like that, because that's what I remember from that day. And if it wasn't something I remember, well, I mean, it was probably this, so sure. I think that's what I was thinking about that day. So yeah, so that bottom section there, that is that. So the part that is highlighted at the very top of that lower section, that's the best thing. And then the unhighlighted thing is the worst thing. And then the other highlighted thing at the bottom, that is the thing I'm looking forward to. So all the positive things are highlighted, and also just it, alternates. I gave myself 3 little lines for each. It's mostly worked out okay. One of the things, sometimes I'm just like, oh, and then this happened, and then that happened. So it's tough to pick just one thing. Well, that is part of the rules. Gotta have one thing, just one. So, because it's the best thing that happened to you. So that's the very bottom section. I'll actually go back, talk about the middle section. Those are obviously labeled tasks. Those are my tasks. Now, for my daily habits are up at the top. So anything that I want to do recurring is there. Tasks are generally one-time deals. I want to do something, accomplish it, and mark it off. So the idea is, in the left hand, the large box, I will be writing down everything I can think of, if I need to remember something I need to do. It's always something you need to do. So it's something that will be crossed off. And whenever I want to do it, I will put it in that day. And generally, with my habits, I'm trying not to write what I want to do in a certain day until the night before. Just so I know where I'm at, This week, I'm going away on Friday. I'm going out of town, so woohoo! So I know I want to do certain things on certain days, so I have written down a little bit more on those days, because I know I have to time it for when I'm leaving. But something like a regular week, I have certain things I want to do. I'm not sure when. But a lot of those things are not, absolutely have to do. Now, if they are absolutely have to do, and this can only happen once per day, I will highlight that thing and say, this is my one thing. This is the thing I need to do. Now, I gave myself kind of a rule that I was going to have one for the habit section and then one for the task section. And it's actually worked out where the one thing I always want to do in my habit section is my exercise. And I do my exercise first thing. And the reason I have to do it is it gets my day off on the right foot. So that's just kind of been what it's been. And then sometimes I don't have a thing for a task, the one thing that I need to do. So nothing gets highlighted, and that's fine. And I have to remind myself, if you're gonna do one thing, have it be this thing. And it's okay if you don't do anything else, as long as you do the one thing. It's actually worked out really well. Giving myself permission to be lazy actually makes me be less lazy. So I end up doing my one thing, and then I'm like, oh yeah, there's other stuff. I do like lists, so that helps. So one thing about the highlights is the highlight that I use to determine those one things actually matches the drop shadow. So makes it pop a little bit more, but it also like has it stay on theme, you know? And that's been really nice, because then I get to use the mild liners, you know, throughout the month, instead of just like having them be decoration. So we can actually go through how I've been using it. So I thought at first that I would use this very large, long section for just tasks. Just like that's sort of a holding tank for like when I want to get them out of my brain. You put them down on the paper. I also have been using an app because I don't have my bullet journal with me at all times. So sometimes it's easier just to throw it down in my notes app. But then I try to remember to take them out of the notes app and write them down whenever I have my bullet journal next. But what I found very helpful is, because I'm not doing my habits every single day, I still want them to like be in a certain place. And the size of that top section is actually very deliberate, because I've given myself just enough lines for the habits that I am working on / doing. So to go through them, the first 2 lines, because for my running it takes a lot of little notation for what I'm actually doing. That is my exercise line. So I'm doing push-ups and I am running. There's a certain schedule that I'm on. So those are the first 2 lines. So what I have done is, on the very long section, in the first 2 lines, I have written exercise, because I know that's the section with, those are the lines that I'm going to use to write which exercise I'm doing. And then after that, 1 per line, I have my other, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 habits / I've also included some stuff that I'm like, oh, I need to remember that, a certain night is trash night. So that's when I can take my trash and recycling out. I have those labeled with what each of the habits or habitual just things I'm doing are. So even if I don't do it at all throughout that week, I know which line it would go on. And then so I just fill in the days which thing I'm doing. So we actually go through them. Got enough time to kill. So the first thing is Pokemon. I play Pokemon Go, and sometimes I just need to remind myself to do the little daily tasks that I need to do. Because if I don't, then suddenly I haven't played it in like a month, and I feel bad. So for all my little friends. And plus they've got all these events. There's like a new event every week, and so there's always stuff to do. But it's always little stuff. And there's certain things that I do like want to remember to do community day so I can get my shinies. And sometimes I just forget, or I remember and there's only 1 hour left to go, and so it's nice to write down those certain events that I'm very concerned about, what time, and just to do my stuff. The next line is then the Red Sox, 'cause I am a big baseball fan, big Red Sox fan, so it actually really helps to write down their schedule, because they are currently playing again. And that way I know, like, oh, okay, Thursday they got a 1 o'clock game, Friday it's a 7 o'clock game. Cool. I remember to go watch it. And then the third line are dog nails. My little one does not like having her feet touched, so we have to work slowly, and we have to give her lots of treats and praise. And so I don't work on all 4 paws every day. So we try to do, and with that, sometimes I'll skip a day because she's just been weird. or we're being lazy. And so I want to keep track of like, okay, so on Monday I did her front paws, on, Tuesday we're going to do her back paws, and then her back, she has all 4 dew claws. Very exciting. Her back dew claws are just so very difficult. I think I've mostly mastered them. And also, she's got black nails, so they are very difficult. But we are working on them. We're getting them down a little bit at a time. We're getting her used to having her feet touched and having, all the like sharp and whirring implements around her. So hopefully she will let me just do them calmly in the future. So that's sort of a not as a daily thing, but could be daily. I mostly do them weekdays. I give her a little break on weekends. And then I have Instagram. It's mostly posting bullet journal things. The little doggo does have her own, and I've got mine, so sometimes I'll post, generally I'll post on Instagram whenever I am uploading to YouTube, so those kind of all happen on the same day. The next one is the t-shirt blankets. I have t-shirt blankets that I have promised some friends, and I just have not been doing them. And they're not hard, I just have to do it. And that one I will actually write down what I want to do that day. Not a whole lot, but like just something to be like, okay, just start doing this section here. And I'm like, oh, and that took only 5 minutes, so maybe I'll do another row, and oh, well, that's fine. We'll just put the back on this one. So, and that one also goes along with the next row, which is reading. I am trying to make, I used to be one of those kids that would like walk around high school with their nose in a book and like still not run into people, like I was that, ninja reading child going everywhere. And of course, as I've gotten older, I just haven't found the time for it. So I'm making the time. I'm also trying to finish out a New Year's resolution from 2018, I believe, which is to read all the books that I own that I have not read yet. We're almost done. I'm actually working on Lord of the Rings right now. And so part of that is that with the t-shirt blanket and the reading, in the past, I have tried to do those at the same time. It's just a lot of tiny little things to do every day. So this month the rule is you can either do the t-shirts or you can do the reading. And so I'm kind of alternating them. So I've actually just finished one of the t-shirt blankets, and so I'm going to go back and I'm going to read the last Lord of the Rings, The Return of the King. So, and with the t-shirts, I write down like, oh, do a row or do 3 rows or, finish up a column. With the book, I write down what page I want to get to. Generally, I try to throw down like, 50 pages a night. That's a pretty easily, achievable goal. And it's nice too, because I have a little thing, a little notification on my phone at a certain time in the evening that says, hey, reading is fundamental. So I have a little prompt, and that's actually been working fairly well. So those two kind of go together. Then my next thing is doing my dishes. I hate doing my dishes. I live alone. Sometimes they build up. And I generally have had the rule recently that is right before I go to bed, I do my dishes. Like all the dishes. That's worked out pretty well. So this is just to remind me, hey, you should do the dishes. Sometimes I'll skip a night, Saturday nights usually. But yeah, just a little reminder. Then next is laundry, and that's sort of like, well, probably it'll be a once a week thing, and I'll make sure I, have, good day to do it, or it needs to be done like I'm leaving right before going away. Then it is trash slash recycling. That happens actually twice a week where I live. So Wednesday night, Sunday night, I mostly just write those down to, remind myself, oh yeah, that's right. This week is, or this day is trash night. So I know when I'm next taking things out. And then the very last habit is the bullet journal. So it's mostly for, and so I will actually write down here what I'm doing. So like today, Bujo parentheses voiceover. So we have made it through all 4 large full weeks. We're on this last little itsy bitsy 1 day week. I have fully committed here. And so I've got another brain dump section at the end, which hopefully I'll make some use out of. We'll see. If not, oh well, maybe I'll use it in June. And a final little section for some little bobas. One thing, I don't know if you noticed, but the sequence of all of the highlights for the days of the week and the drop shadows for each full 2-page spread, they are in different orders, and then the drop shadows are in the same order but shifted. It all makes sense. So we're gonna finish up with these little bobas, and that's it. They're very pretty. Loving the color. Very bright, very fun, and exciting. But that's it. Thanks a lot.